Hey there. Thank you so much for tuning in today for our Facebook Live. My name is Gina. I'm the founder of Babe Crafted, and I'm here today with Brett. Brett, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, anytime. So before we go into your business and what it is you do, I like to start with an icebreaker question. The question that I picked for you is, what song would you use to describe your business owner style and why?
This one was a little tough for me, but I had to throw it back to something from my childhood, and it's "We're All in This Together" from High School Musical.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of a collaborative effort with our business and some, collaborating nonprofits and all of our team and all that. So
Very cool. Man, so I wasn't in I've never seen High School Musical.
really?
No, I've never seen it. My sister really, really liked it though. And I remember going with her to go see Hairspray when that came out because Zac Efron was in it. So I've since started paying attention to Zac Efron, but
Oh, that's good.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It's just so fun to just be a little bit silly and get a peek into something that's a little bit more personality based before we dive into business. So can you tell us about how you started your business and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so my business is called Me PMDD, and we created an app to track the symptoms of PMDD, which is a condition called premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And it's a mental health condition related to a woman's menstrual cycle, kind of like PMS, but the symptoms can be really severe, like severe depression and anxiety and other symptoms along that line. And tracking is really important because it can help you differentiate if you're having, maybe depression all the month long instead of just in that premenstrual time. So it's super important for diagnosis, but then also, planning your life around it. If you know you're going to have times that are tough, but you'll also have times that are good. And also assessing treatments just to have that data to see how you're doing. So how I got involved with this is that I actually struggle with PMDD myself, and I have since I was a young teenager. And when I was in college, I was going about tracking my symptoms because my doctor thought it was something we should look into. And it was when I tracked, after years of having it, it was just so clear that this is what I was struggling with. And then as I was going about treating it, I thought there needed to be an app available that could allow me to track in the way that I wanted to. Because of course there's tons of apps for tracking symptoms and tracking periods, but there wasn't what I wanted. And so it was just kind of this perfect storm of circumstances that my mom and I founded Me PMDD together, and we decided we'd make the app that I wanted. And it was clear that other women out there wanted it and needed it too. And so we started our business in May 2017 and then launched our app in December 2017. And now we have about 20,000 downloads, which is really exciting. And we're just really embedded in the PMDD community and doing whatever we can to support and empower women to track and figure it out and find ways to make life better for them.
That's amazing. And what a quick, the way that you got started in May and the app was available in public by December of that same year, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that period of time like from when you started the business to launch the app?
It was a whirlwind because I had no experience creating apps, and I'm actually more on the front-facing, user-facing side. I didn't do the coding myself. We hired a developer, but I had no experience with any of this. So I was just learning what I could learn, and I designed the app, so I was designing feverishly and just getting everything set up so we could launch. So it was a whirlwind of things going on, but really rewarding too.
That's awesome. And 20,000, like that's a huge amount of women who are, like really taking part in what you created, and what you've created is helping them navigate this condition. Like as you saw, women starting to download your app and really start using it, like what did that feel like, as you saw that number continue to climb?
It was really crazy. At first we were getting notified whenever someone, first just signed up to our email list.
Yeah.
When we first launched the idea, and it was just dinging like all day on our launch, and it was crazy just that people, like actual women like me, were getting involved with this. And sometimes it's hard to actually, going forward when you just get bogged down with like the to-do list and all that, to realize that still individual women are downloading this and then using it in their in their struggle with this disorder, which is like a huge part of life. And so I want to remind myself of that, instead of getting caught up in the day-to-day.
Yeah, and that's such a good lesson, and what an amazing silver lining that, this condition is something that you are personally dealing with and working through, and that something you created to help yourself is also helping others. Mm-hmm. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So kudos to you and your fantastic mom.
Thank you. Yeah. Couldn't have done it without her.
For sure. So what inspired you to start an app, and what is it like kind of like being in the tech world and also being a part of like the women's health space?
We decided on an app just because it seemed like what would be most useful, and what I wanted as like an app user myself. But it was definitely daunting because, as I said, I never done that, and I don't code or develop things. So it was a huge learning curve to get in this space and to see myself as someone in like the femtech space. Yeah, so it was crazy, and just learning all the time, and like affirming to myself that you don't have to be, you don't have to look a certain way or have the certain background to be doing the thing that you need to do. So.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So April is a special time for PMDD. It's PMDD Awareness Month. So what are some things that you have going on this month, and maybe some things that women can get involved with if they'd like?
Yeah, so PMDD Awareness Month, it's been going on for about 5 years, and the last couple of years since we've been around, we've been aligned with 2 of the other big organizations in the PMDD community, and they're the International Association for Premenstrual Disorders and Vicious Cycle PMDD. And together we've got like huge social media campaigns, like doing a Instagram photo a day challenge, to just keep getting it out there to people's communities. And then also printing out posters and putting those around town, sharing videos. We have like a lot of awareness videos, and it's a mostly digital online strategy at this point, because that's how we've all connected, through the internet, Facebook, and all those kind of things.
Wow, fair enough.
Yeah, just spreading the word through our social networks, mostly.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, I mean, especially since, that is the fastest way to get access to a community that understands, and that has resources for PMDD. Very cool. Well, I look forward to seeing the movement grow even more. Mm-hmm. So let's kind of come back to your experience as a business owner. What does a typical day look like for you?
Well, it always starts the same. I wake up, and usually pretty early, and I go for my coffee, walk my dog, and then pretty soon I get to work, and then it kind of can be a lot of different things. I'm responding to lots of emails from our users, and are communicating with our developers, and then I'm managing our blog, which is has like crowdsourced content from the PMDD community. I'm managing our social media, and just trying to move forward on big projects we have to better support our community. And then another part of my day is I'm the peer support team lead at the International Association for Premenstrual Disorders. So with that, I lead a team of peer supporters who we respond to messages that people send us when they're struggling with PMDD and have questions about it. So a lot of the time I'm doing that as well, responding to normal people, and also managing the team, and then working on PMDD awareness. And I wear a lot of hats, and it's a very diverse
Oh my
day.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like heavy, a lot of time on the computer, obviously.
Yes.
A lot of time like managing community and supporting the community. So something I didn't know about you is that you were the peer team lead. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
very cool. So like what would you say is like the biggest piece, like lesson that you've learned of like managing communities and leading a community?
I think one thing in these communities in particular, because it's a personal thing that we're struggling with and our work is really personal, is being open and vulnerable is powerful, I think. And in what I share about I'm very open about my personal struggle in our social media and emails and everything. And I try to be open with my team too, because because the struggle is real for every person on the planet, and I think that it can create a lot of strong connections, and we get better work done when we know where each other is coming from. So
that's awesome. I love that. And it's something that you can apply to any industry, like no matter where you're approaching it from, like the people that you're leading, it's really important to know where it is they're coming from. And, like if people here feel heard, like they're much more able to give their whole selves to a project or whatever the task is at hand. So that's awesome that you are able to make people feel that way.
Yeah, I try at least.
Yeah, of course you do.
I try to encourage openness.
That's awesome. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. I know that question wasn't in the interview that we had kind of hashed out, but I was like, oh, this is an opportunity, to share a bit more into, kind of like what you're working with on a daily basis, and just, these awesome lessons that you've learned along the way. So thank you for sharing. So what would you say is a challenge you've had to overcome working in the women's health space or in the tech industry?
So one challenge in the women's health space is just managing my own condition, but also having this business that surrounds it. And just part of that is something that every, business owner struggles with, is just kind of separating yourself a little bit from the business, even if it's really personal to you, and knowing that, you have your own self beyond the business. And so self-care and work-life balance is really important to me. So that's kind of the health aspect. And then for the tech industry, that's been extra challenging because I was a technical novice, like just kind of banking on being a millennial and, knowing stuff that maybe older generations aren't as familiar with. So I've just had to get really comfortable with not knowing everything. And luckily we have a strong development team. So I need to trust them and also focus on learning more, just like learning how to do things. And I'm actually learning to code a bit right now, like just starting from the very beginning, because it's like, if I'm in this, I should have more knowledge. So learning and trusting.
That's awesome. Very cool. And I'm sure was not like an easy lesson to learn, because even the most ambitious, like smart person, like there's still going to be things that we just don't know yet. They're like tools we don't have in our toolkit yet. So like, not letting that be an issue, not letting that, keep us from moving forward is going to be key.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So what's a misconception that people have about having an app?
I think it's all these developer type people that are these others that have some kind of knowledge and some kind of innate skills that the rest of us don't have. And it's like, it's not that case that like a regular non-tech savvy girl like me can do this because I had an idea for something that needed to be made. Yeah, so I think that's a misconception.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks for busting that myth.
Yeah.
What would you say is your ultimate goal with your business and what you've created?
We have high hopes for what we're doing. Our app is really kind of basic at this moment, so we really want to update it and expand it and make it into something that people really want to use on a day-to-day basis because it helps them a lot. So that's kind of our main goal in just getting it to that point. And then also just supporting women more fully who are struggling with PMDD.
Awesome. Very cool. And then, so as you're growing your company and adding, new features and, really enhancing what you've built, like who are you looking to for inspiration and guidance along the way?
For guidance and inspiration on the app side, I am like always downloading new apps to look at their design and look at the features that they have. And I also try to really listen to our community and see what they want, because people reach out and they have like really awesome ideas that didn't cross my mind. So relying on, people who are using it and want to continue using it. So that's big for inspiration on the app. And then for kind of business development side of things, I look to, big one for me is Brene Brown, who talks about vulnerability. And I really enjoy reading her books, and they're always a boost in confidence and then also, getting the work in. And then I'm also a big fan of Rachel Hollis and her, stuff about girl getting up and doing it, so.
Awesome. Very cool. And then, so the last question I have for you today is, which first of all, thank you everyone for tuning in. And we're going to be adding some contact info in the comments in case, if you'd like to get more involved with what Brett is working on, or you think you might have some symptoms of PMDD. So before we wrap things up, like how can women get involved in what you're working on and support?
Yeah. One thing you can do is download our app and check it out, whether or not you want to use it for your own, symptom management. And if you like it, rating us, because from the asking my fellow boss babes, it really helps us grow and be more recognized by people looking for an app like that. And also like following our social media. We're MeVPMDD on all the platforms. And then one thing about PMDD, if everyone could like tell one person about PMDD today, or look it up yourself, just type in like what is PMDD on Google to learn more, because it's not something that many people are aware of, even though it's estimated that it affects about 1 in 20 women, which is a lot of women. So just becoming aware of it and maybe sharing it with someone because the symptoms can look a lot like depression or anxiety, and it can also be written off as PMS when it's really severe enough that it's impacting your day-to-day life, and that's what would make it PMDD. So looking it up and then telling others, and so that if you have it, or if a friend has it at some point, you can just meet them with understanding and help them get the support and help they need.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brett. It's been so fantastic, like getting a peek into your daily life as well as some of the lessons you've learned along the way. And thank you so much for sharing with us, just some more insight on PMDD. Like I mentioned a couple days ago, it's not something that I ever heard of before meeting you. So it's just great to see that, you're just continuing to that ripple effect of continuing to spread awareness and offer support is really working. So thank you.
I'm glad that I can bring awareness in the community.
Awesome. All right, girl. Have a great day, and thanks for tuning in with us. Thanks everyone who popped in to say hey, and stay boss.